Welcome, everyone, to the Inner Rebirth podcast. Today, we have a guest on the podcast, and it's not the usual theme that I talk about on my page and my business, but we are friends from few years. I know him from almost 4 years, and we met through a music video production thing that we were doing. And it was kind of so cool to work together, but we just kind of stayed in touch. But now he is a retired mixed and master. So now you must be wondering that what exactly do he do? He is a trader and he has been trading from 3 years now. And from 1 year, he is full time. So I'm really excited to bring Jass on the podcast where we'll be talking about neuroscience, spirituality, and trading psychology, blending it all together. So help me welcome Jass to the podcast.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited for the conversation.
Oh, beautiful. Could you please walk us through that, how you got into trading?
Just like everyone, I was looking for something over the internet. First of all, I'll just give a brief background. So I was doing this music thing for around 6 years. I started when I was 17, and then I came to New Zealand. I met some amazing people. I started producing music, started getting into mix and mastering stuff, which is audio engineering stuff. But in around late 2022, I was feeling like I've been chasing this thing, but since my childhood, it felt something was missing from my life, and I felt like it was money. So just like everyone else, I started looking for something over the internet which might create some side income, apart from music, apart from the job I had. I was a geospatial scientist, and with that, I was doing music, and I was looking for something else which can generate a little bit of money. Then I started getting into all these shiny objects, drop shipping, social media, agencies, whatever these people sell over the internet. And I started doing drop shipping first, and I failed miserably. That was my first experience when I felt like, no, this doesn't work. I did it for like 6 months, but it didn't work. Obviously, drop shipping. I don't say drop shipping doesn't work. It definitely work for the people, for the right kind of people. Um, but obviously, what drop shipping was in 2017 wasn't the same in 2022 because of the higher ad costs and all of these stuff and all of the competitiveness which was coming along. Um, so I spent tens of thousands of dollars on ads and didn't get a single sale in 6 months. Then I said, nah, this is not for me. And then I realized that in 2020 there was this trader named Zed Monopoly. I used to watch him, uh, but I didn't really get into trading in 2020. Then I started watching him again, and I started getting into trading. I started looking into charts. When I first opened my charts, I was like, oh shit, it's a completely different thing. It's a Because I was doing music, that was a very it wasn't it was technical, but also it was creative job. But when I started getting into trading, it was very different from what I was doing. So that's how I started trading, and um I would like to say, I feel lucky that I started trading than anything else.
Mm. I love how you had a skin in the game and then you're like, you know what? I want to make some money now.
Yeah.
And you started exploring things, right? And that's how we all kind of get into things that we want more out of life, right? And especially with the internet, there's so much. You're like, oh yeah, if that person can have that, let me just go try that. But then we realize that it's just not who we are. And I'm so glad that you found trading. And I think, as far as I know you, you are also kind of that person that who wants to do its own thing. Whereas with the social media and other business model, you kind of have to be like, I would say, peoply and too much, out there. And I think it's the perfect profession that actually found you, right?
Yeah, true. That's true. Yes.
Yeah, and I can also understand when you first start trading and you open a trading view, you're like, oh my gosh, am I ever gonna master this or what is happening? Within seconds, there's so many numbers going on, and in your mind, you'll be like, when you're in the live trading, you learn something new and you kind of put these lines and we're like, oh yeah, it is working, it's working. And then you kind of feel like it's not,
Yeah,
it's not,
yes.
it's
True.
hard.
There's a lot of psychology behind it. When I first started trading, I did all the kind of beginner mistakes which everyone else does. So when I first opened charts, I was like, how can people make money from this? It looks to me like gambling. But when you start getting really into statistics and probabilities, because most of the people, they can't think in probabilities. They are so sticky to their opinions that they want to feel they are right every single time. So that's not how trading works. And I first opened charts, I started clicking buy and sell buttons. I was like, okay, I'm making money. I was sitting on my desk in my office, where I used to work, and I opened charts. I was like, let's draw a line here, let's draw another line here, let's draw another line here, support resistance, just basic trading knowledge, which I gathered from a month's study. uh, and then I was like, okay, this line got touched. Let's buy here. I took a buy position. I came home. I was like, okay, that was a demo account. That wasn't a real account. And I was like, oh, wow, that's $100 up. And then I started doing it again. Okay, $20 down. Okay, 100 up. And I was like, it feels a little bit like gambling because I didn't know a lot about statistics and other kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, this shit works, and I should really, really get deep into it. So I have this kind of a mind which wants to dig deeper into things, because I can't, if my mind doesn't find rationality into something, I try to create it or find it first. And if it doesn't, if I can't find it, then I have to create it. And then I have to analyze if my creation is actually right or wrong. So yeah, there's a lot into it.
Mm, I love it. You touched on this very beautiful thing which I wanted to explore into it, that a lot of the people when they find trading, they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go into the demo account, and as they see that numbers are going up and they're like, oh yeah, I got this. But when they go into the live account and the same thing doesn't happen. And I think that's why there's a thing that, oh, 95% of the traders lose money within three
Yes.
months. It's because it looks shiny, but underneath there's a lot of things that goes into it. And as you said, the statistics and thinking in the probability. And one thing that you have to let go of your ego, that
Yes.
you are not right. The market is doesn't care about anything. It's gonna do its thing. And I would love to touch on the side of psychology that you said, like if someone is listening right now and they're in the
Mhm.
like most beginning stage,
Yes.
what would you say to them, that what kind of psychology you adopted or somebody can be like, oh yeah, that's the right place for me to start?
I would say do all the mistakes which a beginner trader do, and then learn from it. Uh, when you first start trading, there's this I talk about this a lot, Dunning-Kruger effect, which is when you start something which is hard. First you have this spike of motivation, which goes up, and that's unknown motivation because you don't know the ins and outs of the game. Then you start realizing you really suck into it, and then the motivation starts dropping, and it comes to a point where you're like, nah, this shit isn't for me. And then you start realizing either it's going to be a victory or I'm gonna lose. So then you start, if you choose to pursue your goals, then you start into, okay, I should learn more. I should learn more. And then when you start learning more, now you have motivation alongside your knowledge. So, firstly, do all the mistakes which a beginner trader do. And then after 3 to 6 months, I would say, when you are into a stage where I don't think it takes 6 months to develop a strategy. I think it takes around a year, almost a year, or for some people, it can be 2 years. So once you have something which you have built, then you can start focusing on the psychology side. There's a lot into it. People really simplify it into saying, don't show FOMO, don't show ego to the market, don't be greedy. But there's a deep psychology into it. You have to figure it out, what kind of a person you are, and then you can take it from there. Start taking notes from day one. If you're a beginner trader, from day one, start journaling your trades, start your emotional responses. It feels super hard when you start doing it, because you don't know what kind of thoughts you're having, you're getting when you are into trades. And a lot of times when you are into trades, it creates this narrow vision. There's a science behind it, but it creates this tunnel vision. You are just focused on what you want to see, which is, numbers in green. You don't want to see red numbers
Mm.
on the screen. So once you see red, then brain goes panic mode. Oh shit, this is not what I'm supposed to see. Let's make it back. Let's make it green. Then you dig a deep hole, and then you start s- start getting into it, and it all starts getting into your head, and you keep on losing money. So journaling is number one. You should journal your trades every single time. You should journal your emotions and then find a pattern, what kind of pattern it shows to you. So that's the that's an advice for the beginners. But obviously, I would say uh, you learn the best from your mistakes. You don't learn from your wins, because when you win, you become complacent and you ignore the things which you have done right.
Mm. I love how you started with that thing that when someone get introduced to a new thing, they're like, oh yeah, that's working. And I would reflect that into the entrepreneurship that because I have gone through the same journey. I mean, I go through every single day. When things are working out, your offers are selling, people are buying, you're like, oh yeah, I got this. But as soon as it's not working, because once you something that got you here, it won't get you there.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
when you're actually going towards that part of it, even like as an income, right? So if you started working and even in the trading, what made you $2,000 won't make you $5,000. Like
Yeah,
you have to
yeah, true.
like really think in that way. And at that time, I have noticed with myself as well, my own psychology that I just wanted to quit. I had every chance to quit. I'm like, you know what? I am not doing this. I'm looking at another side quest that is
Yeah,
available on the internet. But after that, I started noticing this pattern with me, and I realized that, oh, maybe I just need a day off. That's it.
yeah,
All I
yes.
need is just one day off from this and come back to it and look at from a different perspective. And I always say this that don't quit, pivot. Maybe
Mm.
something out there is not working and you want to like look at it as like in the trading, it could be your strategy that you haven't developed. It could be your emotions that you haven't really sat with it. And I feel like a lot of the people lose money because they are run by their emotions. And whether it's a business or whether it's trading, if you're going to run through your emotions, of course, it's going to run the money as well. You have
Yeah.
to be very neutral when you are doing business as well as when you're looking at the chart. I would love for you to maybe go a little bit deeper when you said there is a science that when people are looking at the chart, it's going in the green, it's good when it's going red. So what exactly is happening? Tell us something about neuroscience or something that you have discovered on your own journey.
All right. So I started as a trader, which made me look deep into neuroscience, which made me look deep into biology, human psychology. Then I found these amazing things on limbic system. So our brain has this limbic system, which responds to the emotional responses, and prefrontal cortex, which is here, which is also responsible for fear, for not fear, for emergency responses. But it is very rational. It may helps us make rational decisions, but limbic system is where a lot of I would say crap happens in terms of trading psychology. So when you when for say when you are into a position which is going green, and you're like, okay, I should take profits here, your mind starts getting second guessing things that it might flip red on me. It might hit my break even. It might go into loss. It might, there might be a news somewhere which might flip this trade into a red trade. And then you start taking profits out of it. And then you are like, I could have made a couple of $100 more into it. And then you're like, okay, let's take another trade. That goes red. And you're like, oh shit. I've seen $300 on my screen. Now I am at $100. I should get those $200 back. Now then you start getting into more trades. You start losing money because now you are not thinking from a rational mind. Your prefrontal cortex, it consumes a lot of energy. It consumes uh, it's the most energy consuming part of our body. So it consumes a lot of energy because you have to think and then think about the thinkings you are thinking. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. It's the body is consuming a lot of energy. I'm leaving it to the limbic system, and then we have these motor neurons, lower motor neurons, which are in our in our spine, and these are responsible for triggers like uh, when my prefrontal cortex is not working, it gives a signal to limbic system, who gives a signal to the lower motor neurons, which will say, okay, click the buy sell button. And you are now totally into a gambling state.
Mm.
And your vision gets narrower because of uh, s- norepinephrine and acetylcholine. So norepinephrine is, just think of it like it is actually adrenaline. So it rushes into your body because of so it's the same element which is responsible for motivation. But once you are in a stressful state, it creates this whole bunch of chaos into your mind. So there are deeper levels to it, but I won't get too much into it because you know for a normal person it won't be they won't be able to understand all of these words: norepinephrine, acetylcholine, choline, and then GABA receptors, all of this. But in a general view, I would say um, you have to find patterns to it. For example, when I first found this, that I get greedy after my first winner. So I found this, then I started looking back. So there's a lot of history to your background. So, for example, if you had a background where you have had trauma in your life, that will reflect into your trading. You won't realize it. But if you start taking notes, then you start analyzing those notes and cherry picking some things from it. Okay, this might be the reason. And then testing that emotional response into the real environment, that this might be the cause. That's how it makes you stop um, getting into stupid trades. So for me, I had this urge to make quick money. And then I was like, I should make around, if I'm not making $10,000 a month, I would say I failed. So I had this urge. So I realized when I was having like these 300, $400 dollar trades, and I wanted to get $1,000 trades. And I was like, that is what is making me greedy because I want to hit that target. And that's why I get into more trades. And then my prefrontal cortex loses control. He says, okay, limbic system, let's do it. And then limbic system starts taking over and it starts creating this mess. So that's how you can analyze the triggers that, okay, this might be the cause of the greed. And now I have to control it. So before entering a trade, I started having this quick journal on the side of my screen where I would write my emotional response. And if I feel like I am forcefully having a good, I'm forcefully putting a good note into the journal, that means I shouldn't get into a trade. So that's how you know, you can get into things which work for you and then just get the scrap out of the game.
Mm, that is so interesting. Everything that you were sharing, I was like, wow. These are the things that people should be aware about, right? How we make decisions in our life, how we let our emotions run through it. And the thing that you mentioned about the prefrontal cortex, that it's actually helping us, but when we try to push things, it we kind of block it and we let the triggers make the decisions, right?
Yes.
And when again coming back to the businessy side of things, because this is same thing
Yeah.
happens there, because when you are, let's say, launching an offer or putting another product out there, the same psychology goes every single time with me and with my clients. I've seen that as well, that oh, but who's gonna buy this? Oh, what if I just get 20 people in there? Oh, and the thing is, even if it's, so let's say the launch period is like 1 month, right?
Mhm.
If nobody is replying, buying, or anything in the first week, oh my gosh, the
Yes.
dysregulation that happens, you're like, I'm a failure. Nothing is
Yeah.
happening. Everything is working for somebody else, but
Yes.
why can't I figure it out? And I always say that it is just an information. Your system.
Imposter syndrome.
Exactly. It's just telling you some information that you shouldn't
Yeah.
ignore, but understand that how your body reacts it. Because what happens when you are in those stages, after that, your actions are not coming from a place of moving forward. For some people, as you mentioned, that who have gone through the traumas, because trauma makes you go into this freeze mode and kind of like you stay in this analysis paralysis, but you're never moving, right? Or
Yeah.
there's another side to it as well, but I'm just going to focus on this. What happens is, even if the things are working out for you before, but right now you're like, no, I'm not doing that. And your system doesn't even make the move, which could be simply just shutting your screen and be like, go for a walk. And I would love to bring in a little bit of spirituality here, because I feel like a lot of the people, especially traders, they have a very rational mind, right? But another thing that I've noticed, that what they need is understanding what exactly spirituality is. Spirituality is not worshiping a god who's sitting on the cloud or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's understanding yourself and discovering yourself, how your mind works, how your body is a vessel for the God or the universal power to work through you, and the mind who is already very stimulated. It
Yeah.
is so important for someone to meditate. What are your thoughts about meditation?
I personally gave it a try a few times. It never worked for me. Maybe I didn't give it too much time, but I feel like I'm into this state of uh, for example, there's a person who's super ambitious. He don't want to turn that heat off. He don't want to put the pedal off from the gas. So I feel like I'm that kind of a person, and if I get into, meditation a lot, it messes up with my brain. It's somehow uh, makes me more miserable. So, but obviously, it depends from person to person. I want to be, I really like to be in this kind of a state where I'm like, okay, go, 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 go. Uh, but if I feel like, obviously, there might be some reasons I maybe have some mental blind spots which I'm not really tapping into. Uh, but I feel like whenever I get into meditation, I feel more miserable. I feel like uh, a lot of my thoughts they get cluttered a lot. I don't know. Meditation is there for, making less clutter, but it makes me more cluttered. So that's why I really I try to do it sometimes, but obviously not all the time. I'm not a huge into meditation and stuff. But obviously I like driving a lot. Maybe that's my meditation. So whenever I feel like my mind is getting cluttered, I go for a drive, 10, 20 minutes, and then I feel like, okay, all of these thoughts are getting into their own place and they are into right place. There's a science to it, obviously, which is very similar to meditation. When you see moving objects, your mind creates this rational, your prefrontal cortex gets more active because it wants to avoid an accident. So it gets more activated. And you're like, okay, now you are thinking very rationally. So, yeah, that's my meditation, to be honest.
I am so glad that you touched on it because that is exactly who I am as well. Because when it comes to meditation, I feel like I can relate to it. Like my mind is going at 100 speed, and it's not that I'm cluttering it. It's just that it's not for me. Like sitting still is not something that I would consider a meditation for me, right?
Yeah,
But when you said that you go for a drive and
yeah,
these things are moving, and I was like, yeah, everybody has a way of relaxing themselves, right? So
yeah,
basically, in meditation, that's the thing is happening that the thoughts are coming and we're just pushing it away, like, pushing it away.
yeah,
But for some people, there's so much happening, they need a movement, and that's where the nervous system is wired in a different way, right?
yes,
And for me, like you might have seen on my social media as well, that somatic dances, when I figured it out that, oh wow, movement actually helps me more relaxed.
yeah,
Before that, my mind was just going at like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. But whenever I'm moving, I'm dancing, I'm in my body, I just feel like, oh wow, that was such a relaxing thing for me. And my
yeah.
prefrontal cortex, which was so dysregulated and it was just shut down before, after movement, it's back on.
It's
So
back on. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I love how you explored that side of you, and I feel like a lot of the people needs to hear this, whoever is watching. And I know so many people are like, oh, I just can't sit with myself, I can't do that. You don't have to. Find your own way. I always say to people, do you like drawing? Do you like just getting a pen and just doodling? That could be the meditation for you. All you need to do is, the focus is, can you get yourself out from a state when you know that you're getting dysregulated?
Yes.
Get you out from that environment and figure out something that works for you. That could be the meditation. For some people, it could be the being in the nature, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a specific in a lotus position, right? And
Yes.
that's where the beauty comes in.
True. Yeah. Exactly. I have this rule if I've taken a losing trade, I go outside, I have a walk for 5 minutes, then come back, then take another trade. But yeah, obviously it helps because it helps to get out of this state of narrow vision, which feels like um it's a very simple concept, but it's very deep because it has many paradoxes. Because when you are starting to focus on something, you need narrow vision. And when your focus gets shifted towards the end goal, you start neglecting a lot of the things in the process. That's narrow vision as well. So you have to figure out what narrow vision you are having at the moment. Are you so focused on the results that you're neglecting a lot of things on the way, or are you in a hyper focused state where you are actually moving towards your goal, not away from it? So
Mm.
that's how you can shift the perspective. If you have a walk outside for a while and then you come back, your perspective gets shifted because now your brain started having all of these chemicals. Some of the chemicals are calming down, some of the chemicals are getting up. So that's an
Mm.
amazing um, add-on if you want to add into trading, business, or anything. That's a really good thing if you just take a break for 10-20 minutes and then come back. That's really helpful.
It is important to make space. And I'm gonna bring a little bit of human design here. I'm not sure if you know it or not,
Mhm.
but we all have some energy types, how our energy works. So, for example, for me, I am a human design projector, and my energy, I have a limited energy, but my energy comes in bursts. And when
Mm.
it comes, it's a lot. So, how simply I can explain it, that even if I'm hyper focused on one thing, I'm processing so much data in that 15 minutes that a normal another type doesn't. So
Yeah.
for me, when I'm doing that, and if I feel that my battery is getting low, I need that to fill my cup. So that's
Yes.
where it's important to understand your own human design, because we are not designed the same way. Like,
Yes.
not everybody is designed the same way. I cannot work for 8 hours straight. I would be like so exhausted. Have you
Yeah.
ever felt that with you?
Um, Sometimes yes, but most of the time I can regulate how many hours I want to work. Just because, okay, let me give you an example. When when I doom scroll for a couple of days and I try to focus on the fourth day, I can't focus. That's when I know I need to put a break on doom scrolling, keep my phone away, get into the monk mode. Have you heard about monk mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, I practiced it a couple of times, I think. Then you must have heard about 75 hard.
Mm-hmm.
So these things really push you towards your limits, your mental limits, not physical limits, your mental limits. Because once you start mastering your mind, then you can really forcefully make it work. So if for say I have to do journals, I have to backtest. Let's say I have to create a script for my charts which will backtest for me. And I'm not really into this mood of getting into my computer and doing that. So what I will do is just put my screens on, and whenever I'm passing from my room, seeing the screens on, it creates an urge to me. Ah, okay, you are a piece of shit. You should be sitting on that chair, and doing all the back testing stuff. So you can master these things by knowing yourself. Obviously, what I say, it works for me. It doesn't work for everyone else. Some people are different. Some people might be naturally wired to these things. Some people have to wire to these things. So, and I want to touch some base on neuroplasticity. Have you heard about it?
Yes.
Yes. So, after the age of 25, all of your neural networks, they are built up. For example, I will simplify it. When a baby is born, he has this neural network, but the baby doesn't know which one is the highway, which one is the exit, which one is a street. So he tried to do everything. You see, when a baby's born, they are like moving their hands, moving their body. They try to pick stuff, throw stuff. So when they throw stuff, they realize, okay, this hurts, or my mom's gonna, she gonna scold me. So that's how the neural networks develop. And by the age of 25, your neural network is so developed that it can't change until you deliberately want to change it. And the only thing which can change it is a purpose. So if you have a purpose, which you can think about all day, you can change those neural networks again. But most of the people, they find it really hard to to make a change after 25. That's why you see, when we talk to our elders from our community, we see that they are like very stubborn to their opinions. That's because they haven't tapped into their neural networks a lot. So that's something which, if you are above the age of 25 and you are trying to discover new things, you can change. If somebody says you can't change, yes, you can change. So,
Mm.
yeah,
It's a very interesting thing, isn't it? That we develop something at the half of our life, and after that, we realize that, oh, this is serving me and this is not serving me. And the thing is, the things are not serving us, it's always the behaviors.
yeah,
And behaviors are coming from the subconscious, right? Where all the programming has happened, like it's responsible for the 95% of the things that we're doing, right? And when you said that you can change and your purpose is the only thing that's going to change you, what I have noticed that a lot of the people feel lost because there's like, oh, there's just one thing that's just going to drop in from cloud and that'll be my purpose, right? I always say this, that your purpose is you.
yeah.
You are your purpose. You have to become it.
You
It
have to
could be
become it.
simply you existing, right? It doesn't have to be like a profession. Who you are today and who you are tomorrow, that is the only purpose you have. Are you evolving? And evolving, oh my gosh, that is so challenging.
Yeah, true. Yes. Um, I think most of the people, uh, they are not confused. They are just avoiding something uncomfortable. So they usually lack discipline. Um, they usually are just a feather in the wind. Wherever the wind goes, the feather goes. So you have to control yourself first to set yourself free.
Mm,
So you need to you need to learn to take pain to give pain back. That's something which is taught in boxing. You need to learn first to take pain, to give pain back. And most of the people, they can't take that pain, and they are like, okay, this is not for me, or I'm going away. So
Mm.
um, you don't you don't really get what you want. Okay, before 100-meter race starts, what's everyone's goal? It's to win the race. But only one person wins, who has the best preparation, who has the best training. So your goals doesn't decide how far you will get. It will be decided by how much effort you have put when nobody's watching you. And if you can control your emotions, and if you can control the way you think, if you can be disciplined, I think it will help you in trading and business and any field in the world. So uh, most people lack this skill. It is a skill these days. It used to be a skill. Alexander the Great, from his time, from our gurus, from the gods. Basically, I don't want to say it, but they want you to learn things. They want you to learn things from the Bible, from the Gita, from every other holy book, but people just read it. It's not for reading. It's for learning things. And if you compare um, if you compare the teachings from it with all the great philosophers, all the great emperors, they teach you the same thing, basically the same
Yeah.
thing. Learn to control yourself, be disciplined, and that's how you will build life.
Mm. You touched on so many great points. I wanna like try to weave it all in, but the one thing that you said that you have to really take in the pain, and that's where I feel like people who have seen and experienced rock bottoms,
Yes.
they are the best alchemizers.
Yeah.
Because yes, a life has to be, lived in a life beautiful way. We can enjoy the beauty around us. But if you haven't gone through that rock bottom, then you do not understand the wisdom that it comes to you. Because yes, you can read all the scriptures, all the Vedas could be, crammed up in your head, but when you speak and when you share, if it's coming from your own experience, that's the wisdom. And if you are speaking and it's always, that a lot of the people are living in this victim mentality that this has happened to me, or market did that to me, or this business
Yeah.
is not for me, or anything like that. It's like, no, no one is to blame there. And that's where even in spirituality, a lot of the people understand like how the lower centers work, or the root and the sacral and all of that. But all that emotions, the guilt, blame, and shame, they all live in those. So
Yeah.
before even experiencing, let's say, pleasure, right? You have to understand that can you digest that pain? Can you digest that shame that you felt? And then from there, you're like, you know what? Now I have the power to alchemize it. And alchemy actually don't take that long.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a perspective shift. Yes, if it's a heavy emotion, you have to let it out. But what we have been kind of sold this narrative that suppress it, suppress it, suppress it, but it doesn't go away. And when we actually let it out, we understand that it was always those roadblocks was given to us to help us to meet our own self, to meet our own potential. And I do want to touch this point that how so many people have said to me that, oh, you're very confident, right? Like the way you talk is very confident. And I always say, like, you don't know the pain that I have been through. Like I used to be
Mm.
very shy. My
Yeah.
voice wouldn't come out. But I alchemized it, and that's where you see my result. And
Yeah.
something that you said, that the work that you do it in your lonely chapter or by yourself is like the single clap that you're doing it for
Yeah.
yourself and cheering up for yourself. And when you embody that, that gets shown into the world, and they're like, oh my gosh, she is just changed now. Or in your life as well, oh my God, he's a successful trader now. But you know that
Yes.
how many times you've been sitting on the screen and be like, oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yeah, true. Because I think people they don't hate their life enough to change it yet. So that's
Mm,
where, rock bottom, as you said, comes in. And people's your brain will do anything to protect your current identity, even if it's ruining your life. It will try to protect you. Okay, Nana, that's you are right, mate. Don't put pressure on me. So I have this analogy of multiple personalities in your brain. So there's a good guy, there's a bad guy, and the good guys is like, so most people they let the bad guy take over like 70% of their minds. But if the good guy comes in, he can take over the bad guy 100%. So there's this yin yang effect. Obviously, I have sometimes when my discipline slips in, when I have to come back from the downward spiral, and it creates this domino effect on everything else. If I'm not going to the gym, it will create an effect on trading, a lot of these things. And you said ego in the beginning of the podcast, and I was like, yes, ego plays a role, but you need to control your ego. So external ego is really bad. If I'm showing you ego, showing other person my ego, that's bad.
yeah.
But if you can create these two personalities in your mind, and whenever the bad guy tries to take over and the good guy shows ego, okay, I'm gonna fuck you off this time. That that is a good ego. And I think that's where most of the people they lack this kind of intuition. And when you hit your rock bottom, that's when you say, I hate my life so much, I want to change it. Some people change it via drugs. Some people change it via achieving something great. So that is a great place to be. And if you have been there, cheer yourself up. It will be a single clap, but you will get through it. There's no light without dark, and you won't appreciate the light if there's no dark.
Yeah. And I love your perspective about the ego as well, because I feel like in the spiritual side, all they tell you that, oh, you have to die your ego, or you have to go through your ego death. I understand that concept, but it's also that thing that you get to direct it, right? Your ego shows you that, hey, something is just not right here. As you said, the good guy and the bad guy, the analogy that I use it with myself, that inner critic and inner bestie, that my inner critic comes in and tell me that this is like, there's a lot of attacks it does, like onto your self-worth, you're not good enough, you are a perfectionist or whatever that is. But then there's an inner bestie here
Yeah.
that, hey, don't talk to me, my friend, like that. And I'm just watching and I'm just witnessing it, that these
Yeah.
two avatars of me are just talking to each other, and they both are ego, right?
Yes.
And I get to choose it, that which one I give my power. So basically, the energy that I'm going to direct it, that's where my power goes. And that's where I feel like when we say it's a mind, body, spirit, you have to really understand that your mind that creates different egos, it doesn't always go against you. It always tells you the other side as well. And I've also seen this thing in the spiritual world that a lot of the people are only saying that go back to your body, there's a wisdom there. I understand. I am a somatic dance facilitator.
Yeah.
But your mind is not against you. Can you stop your thinking and work with your body? No. So why are we so against of the mind when we can actually utilize it and understand that you get to choose the ego and give it a
Mhm.
direction, and the
Yes.
spirit part of it, it's your soul. It's that awareness that I was talking about, that I'm just witnessing it because I know the truth. I know it, that these are just playing here, and after this confusion will just fade away, I will come back to my own truth, right?
Yes.
And even in the trading as well, you when you're watching the charts, you can see yourself that one the bad
Yeah.
guy is like,
Yes.
look, you lost the trade now, and the good guy comes in. But it wasn't a nice trade, right?
Yeah,
It
exactly.
wasn't playing out. It's such an interesting conversation about the ego, and I loved how you touched about it.
Yeah. I heard this from George Janko's podcast. I think it was he was, I think, podcasting Andrew Tate. So he asked him two wolves, one's tied in the shadow, one's in the light. Which one survives? So the answer to it is whatever one you feed.
Mm,
So if you feed the good guy um, uh, more ego to take over the bad guy, I think that's good. But if you feed the bad guy, eventually he's gonna take over, put you into a downward spiral, and then it will reflect into your trading, into your life, into every aspect of your business, into everything else. And then you will be like, what am I missing? What am I trying to do? What am I trying to figure out? I'm doing certainly something wrong. Then imposter syndrome comes in, and then you're like, oh shit, that's a hard place to get out. But if you can feed the right guy, the right wolf, it will survive eventually. And I think um, we should all develop this habit of feeding the good voice in your head. Everyone has two voices. Everyone has two voices.
yeah.
And call it multiple personality disorder. I don't care. But, everyone has two voices. But most people have numbed the good voice in themselves so much that they are just living in this simulation where they are NPCs, non-player characters. They are just walking around the streets based on the programming which was done earlier in their childhood, in their early years or early adulthood. But if you can have this habit of feeding the good guy, it will take you a long way.
Mm. And that actually shifts the identity because there's no other way of shifting your identity when your thoughts, you're not able to catch them. When you catch your thoughts, you understand what's the identity you're living with. And that identity goes a lot of the things. I'm just touching on the part where the thought is. Once you catch a thought that, oh, is it serving the higher version of me, the version who has a lot of potential and living it? Is that version gonna think like that?
Yeah.
That's where, you know how they say act as if who you want to be. That's where the action comes in. Once you're like, even like simple examples, right? So let's say someone is like, I am the place that I'm living at. It's not where I feel fulfilled, or the people that I'm around, they're not supportive, right? So you know that every single time you think about that thing is telling you to change it. So
Yeah.
now, how can you think about changing your life when you are actually sitting in the mud?
Yep.
You have to get yourself out of the mud. And a lot of the people, I feel like, are waiting. for someone to give them the permission for the things that they should be doing. I want to share something with you, which I was reflecting actually yesterday. One of my mentor
Yeah.
asked me this question. It was 2 years ago. I was like at another rock bottom of my life. And I wanted to step into this guide or coach or, like guiding people. And she asked me, after asking multiple questions, like what exactly I wanted to do, she asked me these questions. So she's like, okay, so who's going to give you permission to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed on that question for 3 days. I kid you not. It took me 3 days to even
Jesus.
think about it that actually, yeah, I am the one who's gonna
Yeah.
give me
Yeah.
permission to do that. Because another aspect in that 3 days, I figured it out that the reason it took me 3 days, it's because we have been programmed that our worth or the way we want to show up into this world is tied to a certificate or a degree or how uni said, like, you are qualified to do this, now you go and do a job. We attach ourselves to these titles after getting this piece of paper, but what about our gifts? Like, I can guide someone. Do I really need some institution to give me this certificate? And I also shared with her because she asked me this. She said, so how many degrees you have collected so far? And I was like, I've got 3 degrees.
Wow.
And the loop that I was stuck in, that I wanted to do another thing because that I was feeling that it is gonna give me this certificate so I can show people. And that was the moment for me. I was like, it is done.
It is done. Yeah.
It shifted my identity from someone who wanted to step into this coaching world because I had it in me.
Yeah.
I stepped into it. I was like, go for it. Let's do it. I'm doing it right now.
That's the perfect example of Dunning-Kruger effect. When the rock bottom gets hit, you start jumping into another shiny object.
Yeah.
You start getting into, and then the effect starts again. Okay, motivation drops down. Ah, nah, this is not for me. Another thing. So if
Yeah.
you stick to one thing long enough, it will eventually work. And you said something about how the version of yourself will see you um, when you are thinking about your thoughts and what he would like you to do. Um, I've been watching, I think I was watching this video on YouTube of Patrick Bet David. He said, who's my biggest motivation? I was like, okay, might be some kind of a superstar, might be some kind of a businessman. And then he showed a picture of himself 10 years ago, and he was like, this is my biggest motivation because this guy, he was, whenever hard times tapped into his shoulder, he was like, go away, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna get through this. And he said, for the version of me who's 20 years ahead, I want to be his motivation. And if I'm not his motivation, I will feel like I have not lived a successful life. So that's
Mm,
something really cool, and it's really mind blowing, and it's amazing.
yeah. And that's the thing we were talking about purpose, right?
Yeah.
So you become it.
Yeah.
You become it as you start evolving, as you start to shape shift your identity. Before that, at the rock bottom, you were like, I'm not confident enough. And then from there, you shape shift into someone who is very confident. And even, of course, you must have gone through so many rock bottoms as well, where you will be like, oh my gosh, I am not that. But that's where you were like, but I am also
Also,
gonna
yeah.
figure it out and do it. And now I look at it like 10 years ago, did you know that you would be a trader? No, but that rock bottom acted as a trampoline for you. You're like,
Yes.
but I'm gonna be the trader.
Gonna be. Yeah. I would say I am a trader at this time, but eventually I want to serve a bigger purpose, which will be into businesses, changing people's lives. So trading is just for there for me to fund myself, to fund businesses which I have, and and then from those businesses I want to get into other kind of stuff. Obviously, that's the bigger goal. I don't want to stay into trading for, you know, next 30 years and say I'm a trader. uh,
Mm.
I want to serve a bigger purpose. So yeah, that's and I had this journal of myself from 2022, I think, and I was reading it one day, and I was like, I've written it somewhere in it that I will start social media in 2025. And I was like, wow, I planned this and I ignored it completely. And I actually started um, putting some effort into social media in 2025. And how my subconscious mind somehow kept that information and actually made me, when I was in I think September last year, I had this anxiety of starting social media, getting more into social media, and I was like, where is this anxiety coming from? And then I started getting into my journals and I looked into it. I was like, oh wow, this was 2 years uh, ago version of myself talking to me right now through my subconscious mind to get into social media. And then I was like, okay, that's good. And now I I have journals in which I have planned for next 10 years. Maybe that will work, that might not work. Who cares? Nobody cares. My responsibility is to put in my effort, put in my time. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, okay, I will try to change myself. I will try to change the things which I do. So um I think you need to have a lot of planning about your life. You need to put effort into how you want to mold your life into, how
Mm.
your future version of yourself would like you to be today to achieve the goals which you want to achieve.
Mm.
And it creates this anxious version of yourself today because you want to satisfy that version of yourself in the future. And that's not a wrong thing. You should do whatever you feel like that the higher version of yourself will be screaming at you to do. So
Mm.
yeah.
I look at it from a different perspective
Yeah.
as the version of me who is doing that, she is looking at like this version of me as in, girl, you got it. Like I feel like, the narrative that I have made in my head is like inner critique and inner bestie because the programming that I had was a lot of inner critique one.
Yeah.
And I'm developing this inner bestie. So I see my higher self as always like cheering me on that girl. You got this. Like,
Yeah.
even at the rock bottoms, or even the day I feel like, you know what, I just wanna blow this thing up. This inner bestie is coming in like, let's go for a walk. Do you want to eat something? Like I have
Yeah.
a different narrative about it, and
Yes.
I would also encourage whoever is listening to us, right? So that's just way, right? That's my way. I
Yes.
would encourage them to find their way,
Yeah.
that what exactly works for them, because it's actually develop the self authority, like how you operate. And once you
Yes.
start understanding that how you operate, you'll be stop outsourcing, you'll be stop asking other people these blueprints that, oh my gosh, I did this to do that and I reached this. You know how on social media everybody is selling these blueprints that how I got to
Yeah.
this point. But I feel like your soul already has one.
Yes.
You just have to develop that relationship with yourself, and your next steps are always laid out. And I am a big on intuition. It just talks to you, and the path of intuition will challenge you. It's not the easy one, and I know everyone's like, if you're in alignment, it's gonna be the easier. No, it
Yeah.
is going to challenge you, even if you have that inner bestie that I was talking about. She will challenge you that, hey, girl, I know you are feeling this dysregulation in this business project, but how about you look at this way? Start learning. You were learning 1 hour before. Let's try 2 hours. And that extended 1 hour, it's gonna feel like hell.
No. Yes.
But that's the fun part of it because your baseline is changed, even in the money aspect as well. That when we are doing jobs, we are kind of programmed that, oh, we can only earn like 1 hour wage kind of thing, and that your income is capped. And a lot of the people who comes into the trading and even in the business world, they have the same employee mindset, that they're thinking in these terms. But understanding how your nervous system works and changing that baseline, that hey, you have to hold more responsibility here. Do not get
Yes.
afraid from the responsibility before holding another responsibility, like say in the businesses, right? In the trading as well, you have to hold yourself first. Can you
Yeah.
hold that bigger version of you who is holding a trade of, let's say, $10,000? Can you regulate that to that state? If you had the pattern of emotional spending, right, in life,
Yeah.
emotional spending, whenever you're dysregulated, you're going out and spending like half of your paycheck, it is going to reflect here.
Yes.
There is no blueprint that can teach you your own patterns. You have to understand that you are the one who has to bring your baseline to the safety, not to the survival. Because I feel like a lot of the people are stuck in this survival amount. Even in the
Yes.
trading, you make that money and then you bring yourself back to this certain amount which is feels safe, which feels so
Yeah.
safe, and as soon as you
Yes.
go a little bit up, you go back. And
Go
that's
back.
where it's not the strategy. I mean, part of it is, but it's you
Yeah.
are not understanding that what exactly is happening. And that's where I asked one of the my landlord actually. So he is really big on money, right? He has multiple
Hmm.
properties and everything. I asked him something, that how can someone hold wealth, you know? And he said to me in a very good example, which I'm going to share with you and with the viewers as well. He said, whenever you are making money, you always want to check that where is the mice before it becomes a rat.
Yep.
You're always leaking something. Whether if you're a
Mhm.
business owner, there are expenses that you're thinking that it is making you money, but it's not. Even in the
Yep.
trading as well, it's your energy that's leaking, that, oh, I'm gonna be greedy here. Oh, I'm gonna another do another trade here. But that is not serving you. Before it becomes a rat, you have to bring yourself back. It's like, what is the wealthy version of me think in the situation, and how he or she makes the decision. That's where you start to set a strong foundation of a wealthy person.
Yes.
Money is just a byproduct after that. And I found it so fascinating because he didn't tell me that how to make money. He told me how to become that person who can
Yeah.
hold wealth. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a great book on it. 38 Letters from Rockefeller. It's pretty much similar what you have told. Um,
Mm.
and I think dopamine is a heck of a chemical. It's responsible for all of these, all of the mistakes we do and all of the achievements we achieve. So baseline, as you said, that's actually dopamine's baseline. So if you can have the baseline of dopamine as a normal person, um, if you can set your baseline to a level where you feel good when you achieve something and you feel terrible when you don't achieve something, that that will create this feedback loop of, okay, I'm into this stage of life, I need to fix something. When it's up, I am, like you said, wealth. Okay, I have done something, now I have to find out a way how to manage it. So
Mm,
so it will create this feedback loop of of how to do things, and you will know because you will start seeing the biological changes when dopamine changes. You will start getting sweats, you start getting anxious, and you will feel, okay, now my dopamine is low, because now you have to find what was the reason my dopamine is low. Now when you find the reason, then you can start thinking, what could I have done to avoid this? Then you can start learning from it. And then when on the other side you start feeling too much, too motivated, then you can say, okay, what was the reason I got this motivation? Okay, I achieved this. Okay, now how can I manage and how can I make it a repeatable behavior that next time when it happens, I can go back and look, okay, this was good, and now I have to continue to do it. So it's amazing concept.
mm,
Yeah.
I love it. Learning the chemical reaction, and a lot of the high achievers would be listening to it like, that's me. That
Yeah.
happens to me. I get to this peak, and after that, of course, the peak goes down, and that's there feel like I'm feeling guilty. I'm not achieving anything. How do I go back to that peak again? It's like understanding that it is going to happen, right? You
Yes.
don't have to feel guilty here. All you need to understand that if your goal is to achieve that, that path getting there has to be in a what's the word I'm looking for? It shouldn't be a part of guilt, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because your goals should never, like, guilt should never be the motivation to achieve your goals. It should be that I would love to have that, I would love
Yeah.
to achieve that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to analyze in that path what
Hmm.
happened here, and you want to analyze on the path down what happened here at the top, what happened at the
Yeah.
bottom, what happened at the top, what
Yeah.
made it happen, and then it comes in cycles. It never stays stagnant. It's not linear. It comes in cycles.
Yeah.
So you need, I mean, a lot of these concepts people they might be aware of because they might not be aware. Most of the people might not be aware of, but I think a lot of people are getting more intelligent these days because of the information we have online, free of cost, and people still spend money on things, getting coaches, for learning, just trading stuff. That's you know it's all available online. You don't need to go deep into s- you don't need to go deep into your pockets to find these things, and it's all
Mm.
internal.
I would love for you to share with the viewers who's watching that. Would you like to share some resources with them? So let's say someone who has spent a lot of money on the traders, who has shown the lifestyle and everything, and then they're like, this is not it. And how they can go to the resources which are actually gonna help them.
Okay. First thing, there's a great. I'm a order flow trader, so I get live data from CME, which is the exchange, and then it gives me all the orders which happened, all the orders which are happening, which are sitting passively in the order book. So that's how I trade. I can't trade candlesticks. That's not for me. I can't trade those. Obviously, it's expensive data, but if you want to, it also gives you an edge over your risk to reward. If you are risking $100, a normal candlestick trader might be able to get like 2 to 1 risk to reward, but order flow gives you an edge over having higher risk to rewards. Then you can have more losing trades and still make money. So currently my win rate is around 37% and my risk to reward is 4. So I'm still making money because I lose more, but my reward to risk ratio is higher. So that's the main game, main trading game. And then there's an amazing order flow course made by Carmine Rosato. He's an American trader. That's whom uh, I learned trading from. And he has a free course on YouTube. And then there's a lot of stuff on order flow these days. These guys living in Dubai, Andrea Simithan, they have made deep charts and they have put a lot of free stuff on YouTube to on trading. And then I would, on the other hand, from my experiences, I I didn't learn from one particular person like Carmine. I'm Carmine made my base. I learned from whole bunch of other traders. Then I combined everything according to my personality, and then I made strategies upon it. So according to my personality, which is my base, I made strategies on it. So if you think you can make money from just one person, maybe your personality is similar to that person, maybe you can do that, but you need to combine a whole bunch of different people's strategies to make your own. And then this is from personal experience. It's very tough. Um, Options is one of the hardest instruments to master. If you can get into options and look at the gamma levels, look at how market makers business works, how market makers make money, and then get it into your analysis every single day. It gives you an additional edge. Most people ignore it, and these days, um, the options business is becoming the underlying asset. I won't get too much into it, but you need to know this. And lastly, you need to focus a lot on statistics. So if you can focus on statistics, it will give you an edge over what emotions you get, what kind of data. Uh, I'll frame it this way. What is data telling me that I need to change? For
Mm.
me, as I said, 37% win rate. It's good to me, but for somebody um who's risking $50 and making $20, he needs a much higher win rate. If he's having 37% win rate, he will definitely be losing money.
Mm.
So that's what data is telling me. And then a lot of these analysis on Monte Carlo simulations, then backtesting with Python and backtesting with C++ programming languages. You can get into it. I like doing it, so I do it. But obviously, it's not necessary. But the overall statistical game, you need to learn it. You need to have the basics of statistics. And if you want to learn more, then obviously you can learn it indefinitely because it's a big game of algorithms and stuff. So you can get into it, but this is just an overview of how you should start. You should you should make all the mistakes as a business as a beginner trader makes, then start learning from those mistakes, then start learning from a professional trader, and then start learning your emotional responses, then start learning into statistics. So that's the step by step guide on how to do things.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I am super glad that you break it down into step by step. And of course, the whoever's watching it, it's gonna be such a valuable information. And do let us know that someone who just watched you and they're like, I like this guy. Where do I find him? So where can people find you? And do you have anything coming up that people want to know, or anything that I didn't get the chance to ask?
Um, you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, TikTok, everywhere on the social media. I have this uh, I have this channel named 8888 Executes. So you can find me there. I have a team of other traders who are currently trading with me. They trade different asset classes. I trade differently, so you can learn, and it's completely free of cost as of now. And yeah, you can learn different markets, different asset classes, and totally free of cost. And if you have any questions, you can tap me on 88 Executes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I will
Thank
share
you.
the links in the show notes as well. And I guess you also have a Discord as well. So I will leave it in the
Yes.
show notes for someone who wants to join it. So thank you so much, Jess, for
Thank you so much.
coming on the episode. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, all the conversations, how it just made its way through. And at the end, you. You were amazing to talk to. I feel like this podcast, I share about deep thinking. Like I like to go deep into things, and I feel like I just thoroughly enjoyed having you there.
Thank you so much. I loved the conversation and will look forward for another one like this.